coming into a match where they win.
Throws a curveball this week, you might play a bit differently. If you weren't happy with how you got through last week, then could be different, but we're about to find out.
Well, the first game underway here in the Champions League. MONTAXER against Marley. FC Lorient up against Brighton Hove Albion in our first matchup. Win this, you come back tomorrow to play against PHZ of Ajax, who has also been in fine form alongside everyone, it seems, from the Eredivisie, which was the Mystery Nation of last weekend. There is another Mystery Nation this weekend. Get your guesses in the Twitch chat. We'll be looking at them and discussing them as they come through live. As it looks like Marley will have his first real chance in the game. I was speaking to him on the build-up to this one in terms of any team changes that he may have had. It'll be interesting to get your thoughts on this one, Tom. Xavi out, PELA comes in.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. I can't quite figure it because Xavi's got the same similar play styles to PELA in terms of being the one that will receive the ball and play the long passes really well. So interested to see. Maybe Mark wasn't happy with the way he played. You know, he turned up in the last game, but the games before, and I feel like sometimes you don't play well, you do end up changing your team a little bit.
It was the case of speaking to a few players as well, Gramerson, that were changed out one or two players. Here's Didier Drogba, who will not be swapped out of anybody's teams, we can assure you of that, because he has been the main man. It's in Gramerson. He did so well.
It's probably
it's
probably the hardest defense. When the ball gets to the midfield, it goes with a direct first touch, driven pass, and there's not much you can do. I think it went for MONTAXER.
They build up, but Dilo is so creative. And going back to what you said earlier, Grav, it was the 21 with the shot cancel. Then that's what he taught me then, and he taught me it without realising, and I started using it against him in tournaments. So always picking stuff up. But Dilo definitely really good player to practice against, just because of how creative he is, and he always finds the next thing that works. He's one of them people, and I'm normally someone that needs to see it from other people first, then copy it, try and get better at it.
And he's a good guy, because I'm not sure if I'm telling you. If I find something like that, the shot cancellation which works, I'm not telling you as a competitor.
I did that, yeah.
Well, back to our featured matchup now. It is Brighton Hove Albion's Marley that leads by a goal to 0 in this game. It's Didier Drogba after just 6 minutes. There was a small pause in the game, hence why it hasn't moved that much further forward. But for MONTAXER, he's dealing with a handful of Brighton Hove Albion shirts running out. A couple of player locks there, just teased from Marley. Tony Cruz still, who I believe does hold the highest rating for a road to the knockout promo item. Of course, Real Madrid going one step further into the finals there.
I'm curious to know, Tom, when you played in the Premier League practicing against them, how do you stop the player lock coming in from the Brighton guys?
Oh, I don't think anyone's got the answer yet because of the way they played. I personally think you've got to put pressure on the ball, because it is impossible to mark. Because when they play a lock, they'll do it to 2 different players, so you can't really mark both. You need to go out to the ball quick enough. That's always my way of trying to stop, but there's a reason they use it.
MONTAXER, Pedri finds Luka Modric, who can't find a way through this time. MONTAXER hasn't made a great deal of changes to his team coming in this week, of course. Remember, it's still a 50 million coin budget with 3 icons allowed, UCL heroes and players. There's a player lock, finds Drogba. Well done there from João Cancelo. The only change he has made, MONTAXER, was Luka Modric coming in for Jude Bellingham. Slight midfield change.
It's interesting. I mean, he wants offense for sure, but he has to defend this one. 3v3. It's
so much space it feels on these counter-attacks as Marley comes forward again. Step over exit was nice from Mbappe. A couple of ball rolls just to pull away Vincent Kompany. See, the second man press there was aggressive. Back to Drogba for 2. And he's Brighton Hove Albion. The lead by 2 goals to 0 in the first 30 minutes.
It's the same goal.
Yeah.
Same build-up, same answer. Yeah, Marley's finding joy. Coming in from that right, he moves it each time. There's 2 passes in the middle, and then you have 2 or 3 options, and Marley's choosing the right one every time.
Yeah, if we have time now in the half-time, it would be great to see this goal, because I don't know if you told me. So basically, when Mbappe went through, he pulled out Kompany to try to cover the run, and now everything is messed because the fullback is in the centre-back position, the centre-back is a fullback, and then when everything switches, you're kind of doomed because you cannot control so many fullbacks.
MONTAXER needs to be careful before whatever game plan he had falls apart. Quite interesting for MONTAXER. We had Obron sitting behind him last week in London. I was speaking to him today earlier on. I said, where is Obron? He said the flights were just too expensive. He's not here. They were chatting earlier on the phone. That he sits on his own in this round of 24 game, you can call it. And what's more interesting for MONTAXER, he was the only player that's in this round that went unbeaten in the group stages. Yes, he didn't top the group, but out of the 12 players, or 16 players I should say, that are in this round from the 24, the only one that hasn't dropped a game. Maybe that is all going to change in an instant as he finds himself 2-0 down. Remember, we are playing 9-minute halves. There's a long time still to be played. As MONTAXER's Mbappe tries to bring him back into the attack. It's a nice overlap from Cafe, one of those icon selections in the team. Plays back into R9! And that's a bit more like he'll be saying.
Beautiful goal by MONTAXER again. The fullback out of position. He finds Ronaldo on the inside. And in my opinion, I don't know if
with when I'm playing all the time, I'll set up an occasion like this, the nerves are there, you might bite too early, you might tackle too early, and then everyone else will slide, and it might take 3 or 4 passes, but it's because of that first movement there. It's always the case.
Well, you may have just seen that in a little instant too. It's Cardillo that leads by 2-0 of Olympique Lyon. I think what's even more of a special touch there, Tom, Lucas Leckel was in this tournament last week. He got knocked out, but he's back here this weekend, sitting behind his teammates, supporting him.
Yeah, don't ask me what Lex did to me in the eCHAMPIONS League last year, please.
3-0 down.
He's on fire, Dilo. He's playing really well. That's exactly how you want to start a day like this. You want to be straight at it from the get-go. And Dilo, I think we saw it with Marley as well, started well. And yeah, something very helpful in these games where there's so much on the line. The first 30 minutes goes a long way. It kind of dictates the tempo for the rest of the match.
And the thing is, if you're playing one attacking player, I don't know, maybe you're playing Anders or someone like that, I mean, you go 3-0 down, it's kind of okay, but when you're playing Marley and Dilo, you're 3-0 down, wow, it's hard because they'll keep the possession in a way in which you're not able to replicate with anything. Yeah,
I find it really interesting with Marley. We'll see next time he's in possession. He's got his left back on overlap, but he's actually triggering his right back as well. It's kind of like a new part of the 4-3-2-1 variation where you expect him to just tap down the left, but as soon as he's not happy there, he'll trigger the right back run, and that's where he's got both fullbacks up, and that's where he's creating the space. It'll be something to pick up on when Marley's next keeping the ball and building up the way he is.
A question to you both off the back of what we've just been talking about there. How difficult is it to prepare for one game? Because for a lot of these players, they would have arrived at about 1 p.m. They're waiting 5 hours to play one game. How difficult is it, Tom, or what would you do in terms of preparation? Obviously, a few players like just to practice non-stop. Some play a couple of games and just sit back. It's
a real skill. It's something that I struggle with because I take a few games to warm up. I normally need 3 or 4. We'll see Marley in again.
Oh, the time finishing wasn't good enough, and now the corner could be dangerous.
Here we go.
Corner comes in, 2 hands on it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's always really hard to play the first game of the day. I think it's the hardest game of any day, and sometimes it just takes like a couple of games to warm up properly. But I think it's a skill, and you train those skills, but obviously it just comes up with who you are. I found it maybe exercise for a bit, not like really hard exercise, but maybe jumping on the bike for 20 minutes, something like that. It worked for me.
So it could be in.
Did you just say you jump on the bike, Rav?
He's exercising.
Did you bring a sort of like a bike to the venue with you and have a little cycle?
I mean, that's a thing here in London, right?
Yeah, a lot of. For me, I try and play the last warm-up match as if it's the game. I go headset on, I get fully in the zone, like I have everything as if I'm playing, because try to replicate that just before you play, because it is very hard. Like you go from warming up and you're kind of messing around, just seeing what works, what doesn't, and then you're straight into a high-pressure game where if you lose, you're out. It's difficult.
Great ball.
There's another chance for Mark Marley, maybe one of the last ones of this first half in this to play 4 round. Toni Kroos finds Mbappe for 3. Donnarumma. Does enough again. Corner played short. Pirlo and Toni Kroos linking up well. Stepero exits. Still Pirlo now, who is the player that was subbed in this weekend for Xavi. And you can understand why. Lofted indeed. There's the drop, but there's the head down. And if it wasn't for Manchester City's Gvardiol, that could have been 3-1 on the stroke of half-time, Grav.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be it probably, because maybe the pass is coming into Mbappe. Do you think this is going through? Yeah. Wow. So quick.
He's around the corner of João Cancelo. Is it an equaliser before half-time? It might just be. Back to R9. And that's should do us for the halfway point. As Brighton of Albion, after a 2-0 lead, they may have conceded one.
In my opinion, is Ethan. Like Ethan, if he finds a way of scoring goals, he won't stop. And I love that you said that, because maybe sometimes we don't analyze patterns when we are here on the screen. But for example, those 2 goals were exactly the same.
Yeah.
So you were spot on.
You don't start well, and the other players there. I mean, Delo's done this to me in practice a few times before. When he gets going, he's so hard to stop, and yeah, they're on fire there.
Well, we have got the Twitch open as well. Remember, we have got Tom Lees here, who has played in this eChampions League before, been an E-Premier League champion also. Any questions you got from him, or maybe improving your game? Would you be happy to answer a few questions?
Yeah, fire away, fire away. You've got me for the whole broadcast.
Just anything non-Spurs related, ideally.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a tough week as a Spurs fan.
We'll try and avoid any questions in regards to that.
Let's keep it to FC, yeah, because football's not been great.
Of course, as we said, 2 games at the same time are taking place here in the Champions League. Just 8 games for today, and then tomorrow we'll be providing you our round of 16, where we'll see 8 players. They're already there. Here's R9, cuts it back. Oh, he's just scuffed the shot, Mbappe. I don't know how he's not hit that in, Graf.
MONTAXER is only using the ball roll, really, and then the control sprint. And he's not using anything else. And sometimes you don't need to be fancy. For example, Tom, you were just really efficient with your timing. When I remember playing against you, I had my tough times in 2020 when I didn't win a single game. You won 7 of them, so I know what I'm talking about. It was just sometimes you don't need to be fancy. If the timing is right, that's all you need.
I notice it with all the top pros. They're just really, really good at the simple things, will not make mistakes. You know, you don't need to do 6, 7 skills at times. If you can master the basics and the efficient stuff that works, you know, if it's a ball roll pass inside, if it's a little bit of R1 dribbling, it will work every time. You get your timing right. I think timing is a good word, you know, because I think a lot of the game is around timing, when you take that first touch, when's the time to pass, things like that. I think it's really hard to coach as well. So I think a lot of players, you see it's why players are so successful for so many years, is that they just have it. I think some people just have it very, very well.
This is a good attack by Cancelo. He'll pass it back to his rock, no.
He's going to recycle again. Ooh, that's a good idea.
Tom, question for you. Literally can't seem to win any games with any formations. Any tips from Migo? I think that sometimes is a bit of an issue. People maybe look a bit too much into the formation. They're always changing it all the time. Yeah,
I think sometimes you have to just look at your own game. I would advise 4-3-2-1 to start, and then kind of just work on your own game. Something that I like to do is just watch my own games back, because you'll see you actually concede quite a lot of similar goals and you start picking up on it. But I think if you're looking at the most effective now, 4-3-2-1, and if you're struggling to defend, I actually use 4-2-3-1 quite a lot. I use it in all pro games because it just gives me a bit more stability when they're recycling and putting it around the box. So yeah, I'd actually advise 4-2-3-1, especially if you can't defend.
Keep those questions coming in for 2-0 down, back to 2-2. Oh!
That is not easy, you know, their player locks are so sharp, so sharp. You have to hit them so quickly, and it just moves the player about 2 yards, but it opens up the passing angle that's not there.
Yeah, I mean, I really like to explain FC sometimes in terms of timing, of angles.
6, that one's done.
It surely has to be done.
Yeah.
And it's tough for Jesus, because is he a champion? Last year he was the runner-up in ECL, but sometimes this isn't just an FC game. It's just 25 minutes, and if you're not sharp enough, you're out.
It happens, so you see quite a lot of blowouts, because if one player's on top, it's so hard. If you're not in form, not playing well, it can run away from you quickly, especially if the other one's clinical. It seems like every time Dilo goes forward, there's a goal, and he's on fire. That will give Dilo a lot of confidence going forward as well. If you can ask any player to start this stage and go 6-0 up in 60 minutes, that is exactly what you want.
Well, you know who waits in his wings if he wins this game? He'll be playing Johnny tomorrow, who has not lost a game since the virtual Bundesliga kicked off. He's not lost a game. He went 16 unbeaten there, came into the group stages. He's been unbeaten here as well.
Wow.
There's a few people in the chat saying Kurt Adilo is going to be that man to beat Johnny. Again, that game will be coming tomorrow, but as it looks like, Kurt Adilo is cruising through to the round of 16. He loves the Champions League, and it came from this goal here with R9 Gravison.
Yeah, that's a weird angle, but that's the reason why you're using R9, pretty much. I mean, I remember yesterday, Tom, we were talking about the icons options, and for example, I think if I'm playing here, I'm probably going with Cafu, Drogba, probably Pirlo, Xabi Alonso, but you said you wanted R9 probably as a striker?
I think R9 is just so clinical, and for me, I'm someone that takes quick touch in the box. I like to get my shot off, and I think when you're banking on big goals like that, 2-2, 70th minute in a game like this, R9's the man for it. He's always tucking them in. So, yeah, proving his worth again. And Marley's got a big 18 minutes here.
Going to be a goal back. Mbappe, look at the space. He's got 3-3. We're all square again.
So you notice the pattern? Very similar. His way in. And it seems to be, if he comes from the left side, it's the right forward that finishes it. And if he comes from the right side, look, he comes from the left here, and now it's the right forward that finishes it there.
Yeah, you notice how MONTAXER went to try to cover the pass with company, but this time he decided not to pass it back, to just control and shoot. And yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, sometimes you just need a single driven pass into a striker, first time touch, and it works fine.
I think sometimes this is where you need a coach for MONTAXER, because normally a coach would pick up, like, look, it's the same thing, you know, your company's coming out or your other defender's coming out, and then it's creating the space. But in a moment like this, it's so hard to pick that up straight away. That's why I like having another set of eyes watching my games.
MONTAXER on the hump for another goal. Remember, he just led by 3 goals to after chasing this game at 2-0 down.
That's Sule. That's the anticipate plus right there.
Yeah. I mean, he's much better now with that playstyle. I think it's my favorite defensive playstyle.
Yeah, I think it's the best as well, yeah.
Can he compete with Drogba anymore? Any more so than last week?
I mean, he can, but if a cross is coming in, no chance.
You're still putting your house on Drogba to win it.
Yeah.
Sule's got the bruiser and the aerial, which is helpful, but we'll see if it's enough to stop Drogba, because it's going to take a lot.
Man City's Matias Bonanno. You played against him this year, Niprem. Sorry about reminding you about
bringing
that.
up all the losses here.
sorry, but coming up to the game against Matias, how do you think Ricard is feeling at the moment?
I think for Ricard, you have to upset Matthias's rhythm in the way he defends. You have to be direct, you have to be quick. If I've ever seen Matthias struggle against players, it's players like Nick Sneb, where they're quick, skillful, onto you straight away. If you try and play methodical and play slow and build up and maybe have a chance every 10 minutes, Matthias loves it. He will sit and he will wait and he will not let any spaces happen. So be interesting to see how Ricard approaches it.
You get the replay for you. Player locked onto Drogba. No one is stopping him. And he might know that that could be enough to send him into... Is it going to be heartbreak for Brighton of Albion, or can they win the ball back to have one more chance potentially? MONTAXER, who was 2-0 down in this game, has turned it around. The French League One champion will probably turn his attentions and try and support his teammate in Fuma, who comes up against Danny Pitbull in the next match today. He's playing very dangerous game around the back here. 20 in-game seconds left. Brighton with a double press there. If they can try and get back on the ball in any way they can. But Fuma will wait in the wings to see if he can follow up. Boy's teammate has just achieved. MONTAXER 4-3 win. He goes through to play PH in tomorrow.
Because you didn't find an answer to those corners. If there's one, because I'm not sure there's one. But sometimes you know when you're out of...